You're listening to The Catholics Next Door with Greg and Jennifer Willits on the Catholic Channel, Sirius 159 and XM 117.
Thanks for being here with us today on The Catholics Next Door with Greg and Jennifer Willits. If you're a regular listener to the program, you know, just recently we had the opportunity to go to Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia, and had the chance to interview some just absolute comic book legends and guys who I've been following my entire life as a comic book fan, people like George Perez and Neil Adams. And so it's probably not a lot of Catholic radio programs out there who talk about comic books nearly as much as we do, Jennifer.
It's just you're passionate about it. You love it, and now our kids love comics because of your influence.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good influence. I mean,
it does help them love to read. It was like their gateway drug into reading.
I mean, but that's how it was for me, too. I read comics when I was a kid. It made me love reading in all other ways. But then now also for our children, we've been trying to constantly stay on the lookout for Bible-related comic books as well. So a couple weeks ago, a listener to the program told us about this great new book. It's called The Action Bible, God's Redemptive Story, and a beautiful, beautiful 750-page hardcover volume. It's just absolutely gorgeous comic book, one of the nicest ones I've seen in quite a while. Well, Sergio Cariello, he has been an accomplished artist since his childhood, drawing a regular comic strip for his city's newspaper by the time he was 11 years old, and he later went on to work and draw Batman and other characters for DC Comics as well as for Marvel Comics, and he's joining us today to talk about this latest project of his, The Action Bible. Welcome to the program here on the Catholics Next Door, Sergio Cariello. Hey, Sergio, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Greg, Adam, and Jennifer.
Well,
great that you're here.
Sergio, when we found out about this book, The Action Bible, very excited by this. Just simply, we have 4 boys and a daughter. The boys are all just awakening their love of reading, and anytime I can throw a comic book their way, they just absolutely love it. How did you get interested in comic books in the first place?
Well, I just loved watching cartoons and buying the comic books. I was born in Brazil, so we had the translated versions of all the comic books and also the TV animated series, and I just loved looking at the pictures either on print or on video, and I enjoyed drawing since I was a little kid, so I loved everything about it. So my brother and I bought comics, or our parents bought them for us at our early age, and we started drawing everything we could.
I think that's fascinating that, of course, it starts very simply. It starts with just a simple love for drawing and a simple love of these, products like, comic books, whether it be through cartoons or through print. But to actually get to actually draw for the big guys like Marvel and DC Comics, how do you get there? Because I would think that just, making little doodle sketches at home is a little different from actually launching to those big corporations like Marvel and DC Comics. Can you tell a little bit about that journey and how you broke into that scene of graphic art?
Sure. One thing that I learned was to be, humble in a way to get in anywhere. You can't just, sit on the front seat and expect to get the attention you need. You go through the back door, so to speak, and that's what I did with breaking in the business. I always wanted to go to the Cuban school in New Jersey, and when I heard about that school in Brazil, I was still learning English, and so I quickly worked to save money to go to that school, to come to America. When I finally was able to attend the school, I remember that Marvel was offering a lettering assignment for third-year students, and nobody was interested because they all wanted to go through the front door as an illustrator and pencil inker. So I was a second-year student, and I overheard that in the hallways, took my lettering assignment. The next day I went to Marvel, showed my lettering portfolio, and I was hired as a ghost letterer in the production department. That's the type of letterer that you get no credit, but you correct somebody else's lettering, imitating everybody else's lettering. And while I was at it, they could see that I could draw, and they gave me drawing assignments. And then it happened a full circle that I went back to teach at the school for 7 years. And so that's how it happened.
I mean, you paid your dues, it sounds like.
But you were so humble. I love that. It was your humility that helped you succeed.
Well, very good. We're speaking right now with Sergio Cariello. His latest book is called The Action Bible. It is a wonderfully illustrated version of the Bible. We have a couple copies of these. We're going to give you a chance of winning these later on today here on The Catholics Next Door. Well, tell us, I know that you did some work on Batman. What time frame were you working on Batman?
I was working on a few. They have several titles on Batman. At the time, they had The Legend of Dark Knight, and I had the privilege of working with Dennis O'Neil on a mini-series that later was put into a trade paperback called The Ring, The Arrow, and the Bat.
I know that story.
You know that story?
You were the illustrator on that story.
Yes. Yes.
See, that's tremendous.
Do you have that, Greg?
I did at one point before I was sold all my books.
And you had to sell it to pay rent.
Well, the Ring, the Arrow, and the Bat. That was a story that had to do, if I'm not mistaken, it had Green Arrow and Green Lantern both in it as well. Did it not?
Yes. Wow. There are three stories. One was done by Greg Land, another one was done by Dick Giordano, and I did based from Legends of Dark Knight 127 through 131. That was the main story of that trade, Green Arrow and Batman.
You're making me geek out, Sergio. You're making me geek out here on the program. So I mean, you have a wide array of experience in working for mainstream publishers. Then what led then to doing a book like The Action Bible? Then,
while I was teaching at the Cuba School, there was a instructor, Alex Stevens. I think he still teaches there, in Dover, New Jersey, and he put out a publication called Glory to God, and I did one illustration of Jesus carrying the cross as, a giveaway to him, a donation page. That page really got a lot of attention among the Christians, publications and stuff. Then later on, there was a contest for Latin American artists put out by Nate Butler from Comics 35. Anyway, they had a contest of submitting a two-pager for this Christian publication, and I won the first place on it. I learned that I was nominated the first place on April 23rd, my birthday, and that day, I was giving one of my old cars to a pastor who needed a car. And it was a beat-up car, so I probably would sell $1,000 for it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I got from winning the first place on that book. That book was in David C. Cook Publishers while they were looking for an artist to revamp the Picture Bible, originally printed in the early 70s. And I remember reading that when I was a kid. When they called me, because they saw that publication, and they said, I think we found our artist, they called me and said, are you interested in doing the Picture Bible or revamping it? And I said, you're kidding. That would be a lifetime achievement for me. So they said, okay, could you submit a two-pager, like one-page pencils of David and Goliath, just in pencils, you have a week to do it. And the next day I submitted a pencil, inked, colored, and lettered page to them.
You just couldn't hold back.
No, I mean, but so is this sort of a remake then of the early 70s version of that same book? Is it the same text? Or
it is a remake with add-ons and editing stories and content, but basically is a revamped of the old Picture Bible.
So for your illustrations, did you model your own illustrations off of that original Bible and just update them, or do you feel as though you gave it a completely different take in some cases?